William Shatner is turning 93 years old today. Happy birthday, sir. But that's not all. He is saying that the creator of Star Trek would not be happy with the current state of the franchise. Folks, you won't believe what Uncle Bill had to say. Hello and welcome to the Pro Channel, folks. We are happy to have you here with us. You would not believe the conversations that I and LW Ghost have been having before we started recording this video. One day, we're going to have to turn those into videos themselves. Lou, welcome back to the channel.
Well, but they're not as famous as Captain Kirk, let's put it that way. So
that is absolutely true. Now, Captain Kirk is turning 93 years old today. And
wow.
we are bidding him a very happy birthday. We're
absolutely. I will say to him what I say to everybody about birthdays: skip the candles, enjoy lots of cake.
That's right. We're exceedingly happy for him. Also, folks, just as we were getting ready to start this video today, we found out what you're seeing on the screen here, that the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, has been diagnosed with cancer and is undergoing chemotherapy. For what it is worth, from all of us here at the Pro Channel, as well as That Part Place, she and her family are in our prayers. There is very little that is scarier than the idea of having a very bad disease when you have small children. And so
yes,
we wish them all absolutely heartfelt prayers. We hope everything goes well. And so on a day when we're celebrating William Shatner's birthday, we're also thinking of those out there, including perhaps some of you listening in the audience, wishing you good health soon to come. But that said, Shatner spoke to people about exactly how it is he stays so energetic in his 90s. Folks, we'll talk about what he had to say about Star Trek in just a moment, but let's start off on a happy note. He says that he's revealing how he stays energetic in his 90s. Speaking to people at the premiere of his documentary, You Can Call Me Bill, at the Culver Theater in Los Angeles on Thursday, the actor, who celebrates his 93rd birthday today, shared what has helped him to remain youthful and engaged with his work. He says, just staying engaged in life, to stay curious. Luck has a lot to do with it in your health. He says your life's energy, the soul energy of your body, is a product of health. If you're sick, you can't be energetic. You're dying. So my luck has been, I've been healthy all my life. So fantastic. We're so excited for him. We hope that William Shatner stays with us for a long, long time. It's an honor to get to ride this thing we called Earth with him. Now, Lou, he does not have quite the same happy tones when talking about the state of Star Trek today.
That's true. And by the way, in a curious little note that I discovered getting ready to talk to you, you want to hear a 6 degrees of Star Trek separation little factoid?
Oh, I'm excited. What do you have?
Most people know that Mr. Shatner was born in Canada, in Montreal. They may not know that the neighborhood in Montreal where he was born was called Côte Saint-Luc, SAINT-LUC, as in Jean-Luc Picard. So how's that for the universe having fun with us all by putting them both?
Fun connection.
It's a reach, but it's still so.
What a fun connection! Thank you.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Stumbled across it in a bio that I looked up, but
there you go,
anyway.
folks. Some of you out there are now you 100% are on board with the simulation idea or of Providence, one or the other. So we'll let you decide if it's coincidence, simulation, or Providence, folks. That's up for you to decide. But this article by John Trent over on thatpartplace.com, which, folks, if you're not yet bookmarked, well, you should be. Over
absolutely
200,000 readers in just a short period of time. Last time I checked, it's amazing how many people are reading the website now. Star Trek veteran William Shatner, who played James T. Kirk in the original series and reprised the role in a number of films, shared that he believes the show's creator, Gene Roddenberry, would disapprove of how newer series have ditched his strict rules. And, I guess this is a lesson, yet again, to those who are messing with these franchises. Don't disrespect those who were a part of it in the early days. It's not just what we've seen with Star Wars, by the way. We had Frank Oz, who performed so many of the Muppets, came out not too long ago and said, he was just very displeased with how the Jim Henson properties had been treated. And, folks just need to remember that these properties were amazing for a reason and respect that. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Shatner was asked, Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry had strict rules about what was appropriate for his show. Were you privy to what informed that thinking? Uncle Bill Shatner answered. He was in the military and he was a policeman. There was this militaristic vision of you don't make out with a fellow soldier. There are strict rules and you abide by the rules. Around that, the writers had to write the drama, but within that was the discipline of this is the way a ship works. Well, as Star Trek progressed, that ethos has been forgotten. Sometimes. I sometimes laugh and talk about the fact that I think Gene is twirling in his grave. No, you can't make out with the lady soldier. And, well, that's something coming
well, unless
from
she's green,
James
maybe you
Kirk.
make an exception if you're Captain Kirk. But
What do you think about this, though, Lou? You've had extensive experience helping make sure that properties stick to what made them fantastic, a consistency that goes season after season.
With TV shows, they write what's called the Bible, which is the basic. Any writer coming on the show, read this first, and you'll understand who these people are, what they can do, what they can't do, what we've done with them already, so you don't repeat yourself. And if you stick to it, it's probably going to be a good thing. But once that series is over and you have all these future iterations, variations, unfortunately, they throw a lot of that to the wind. It always amazes me when I see remakes of classic properties. I know you just saw the latest Ghostbusters movie, which I haven't seen. But
which I really, really wanted to love because I love just about everybody involved in it.
Well, and the classic example I always give is the Will Smith Wild Wild West, which had nothing to do with the Wild Wild West but the name. And the whole reason for selling to the studio, you should put money into this is, hey, we have a built-in audience of people who love it. Same thing with X-Men 97. Any of these things where they're saying we're going to capitalize on the fact that the audience already knows the characters, already loves the characters. Even within the Star Trek movies, going back to Shatner, when they had the first one do so-so, but everybody wants more. What's the thing they did? They said, let's go find one of the villains from the classic episodes. And they came back with Khan and Ricardo Montalban and came up with a great story as to, what happened to those guys all those years later. But it stayed true to the original. When you throw all that out because you think you know better than those guys, you're riding for a fall.
Yes, and speaking of X-Men 97, Lou, no, we didn't coordinate this, but over on the Patreon, www.patreon.com/WDWPro, I actually have an article right now about how one Joe Russo, major personality on YouTube and Twitter and elsewhere, is trying to force the hand of Marvel, wants X-Men 97 to be a vehicle for talking about, very modern, very divisive issues and trying to make sure that it's explicit that X-Men 97 is about those. I've said that's playing with fire. I also think, by the way, it's playing with fire when Star Trek is used to not be a vehicle for more universal truths and the exploration of humanity and what we could achieve, but rather being a vehicle for tackling modern political ideology.
And
I think
let's remember
it's more dangerous.
The original series Star Trek did handle issues like that. Probably the most overt one was that classic episode with Frank Gorshin and I can't think of the other actor's name, where they're both from the same planet, and one side of their face and body is black and one side is white, as in shoe polish black and brilliant white, clown white. And they have a racial animus because on one it's on one side and one it's on the other side. And that was used as a symbolic interpretation of racism and the need to get along. So it's okay if the story's good first, if you care about the characters, if you want to identify with it. Well, even, probably one of the best of the Star Trek movies, which is the Whale movie. I always call it the Whale movie. It was about environmentalism and about, and not killing off the whales or anything else. But it was told in a way that was fun and comedic. And when they go back to San Francisco in the era and that guy with the mohawk is playing his radio too loud and Spock nerve pinches him, all that stuff, it made it palatable and fun and great. And you got the message without being hit over the head. The famous line from Samuel Goldwyn, the Goldwyn in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, was, if you want to send a message, call Western Union.
It's a great line. So I'll read this to you. I think this is really important out of the article. It says Shatner has made similar comments about Roddenberry turning in his grave in the past. Back in 2022 at San Diego Comic-Con, the Hollywood Reporter shared that during a Q&A portion of his panel, Shatner was asked if he believed any of the new Star Trek series were better than the original series. None of them, he responded. I got to know Gene Roddenberry in 3 years fairly well. He'd be turning in his grave at some of this stuff. So, Lou, I turn to you and ask, what is it about the stuff of yesteryear that separates it from what people are doing today? What makes the things that we watched and enjoyed and created back then better, you think, in substance than what's produced now?
We should say it's not because they're yesteryear. It's because they're good. I've always thought the whole nostalgia craze, that kind of went crazy for Art Deco and Busby Berkeley and all that back in the 70s and ever since. It's great because it's old. It's great because it's quality, period. But I think the best differentiation, and we don't have to go to all the new series on Star Trek.
Right. And I think some people out there would like for us to do that. But I'll just say, I think it's like, Star Wars is irrelevant to the point that we're mocking it. Star Trek might actually be in a worse place. It's amazing what's happened to it. And not in a good way.
It has moments, but probably most of those moments, for example, in the Strange Worlds show, the third season, when they finally got the old band back together, that was fun. But what do you do then? Where do you go from there? And even then, Picard was a clone of himself, not the real person.
Right.
So, but the best thing, back when the Next Generation was happening, there was a guy, and I keep remembering this, and I can't remember his name, and I apologize to him wherever he is.
Don't worry, because folks in the comments will let our viewers know who this is.
With the L.A. Weekly, which was, the tabloid paper, and he did a comparison between Jean-Luc Picard and James T. Kirk. And he was citing, you remember the movie where they're both in it with this thing called The Matrix, not the one, with the other guys.
Wait a minute, the one without the bullet time. Yes.
Exactly. But where Malcolm McDowell is trying to divert this Matrix thing so that he can do bad things, and they're both fighting against him. And they both go into this Matrix that Whoopi Goldberg, Guinan warns him about. And it's supposed to be a realm where you get your absolute dream come true, ideal life made real. And this columnist pointed out, let's look at the two choices. Jean-Luc Picard in The Matrix is in a Dickensian family scene with little children calling him Papa, and his wife making him figgy pudding or whatever, and candlelight. Meanwhile, when we find Kirk, he's in a cabin in the woods making bacon and eggs and about to go upstairs and bang a broad. and that was the example he gave of saying, this is what
bacon and banging, baby. That's coming up on new merch, folks.
If you're going to be a swashbuckler, you've got to have a buckle and a swash, not a philosophy.
But Lou, Picard now would be seen as ultra masculine in comparison to what we do today.
Well, but let's go to Star Wars. Original Star Wars was basically a World War II movie.
Yep.
That's what it was. All right, they're flying to blow up a Death Star and not the battleship Yamamoto. But Red 75 and all that stuff. George was taking all that from some pretty tried and true stuff, just giving it a different patina.
Okay, so if the original Star Wars is a World War II movie set in space, then the next two films, after he had assessed how to do this, the next two films then are about Luke discovering that his father is fighting for the enemy, and yet deciding that there's enough light still remaining in the enemy that if he does what is most virtuous, he might be able to redeem the entire world through that. That's a heck of a statement, and it would be hated. And it is hated today. That's why they hate Star Wars, the originals today, even in spite of the fact that they have to nostalgia bait that to the heavens right now for marketing purposes to sell Acolyte.
If you want to talk about redeeming things through sacrifice, isn't that what Iron Man does?
How else are you going to redeem something without sacrificing something to do so? You're going to sit on your duff and the world just comes to you and says, here, let's manifest good for you. No.
And I know we're talking Star Trek, not Star Wars, and not, But it's all the same thing. If, on the other hand, your philosophy is it's not about good and evil, it's about power and who is allowed to have it. It's
Right.
that
That's a
who
villain
is
statement.
allowed part. It's
That's a
that
villain
who's
statement made by a
allowed
hero
part.
today.
It's the we are above good and evil, and all your old-fashioned stupid good and evil stuff, poo-poo. We're going to give you power if we like you because we're superior anointed people. That's called Hitler and
But to
Mussolini
bring that back,
and Stalin.
Lou, but to bring, and you're exactly right. You're 100% right. To bring that back, though, talking about sacrifice and talking about doing good with sacrifice, look at what William Shatner has achieved in his life, in spite of detractors, by the way. There are those who don't want him to be a part of Star Trek, have not wanted him to be a part of Star Trek, and yet he continues on being someone that audiences love. There are huge lines to get to meet him whenever he is out for a meet and greet. People love seeing him. He is a well-received celebrity in his 90s now. And
Even
that's
though
because he's made sacrifices his whole life to do good and be better and make great things for people to enjoy.
even though he told the Trekkies, quote, get a life.
Yes.
But let me tell you the secret to this guy. I would say the secret to basically all of the great actors of our times, the ones that, quote unquote, and this is my expression, they get the joke about themselves and they don't fight it; they go with it.
Right.
Look at his appearances in the Zucker brothers comedies. Look at his. I mean, this guy understands that even though he was doing it serious, and even though he was not joking when he did those talking records of famous songs that everybody mocked, of Rocket Man. If you've ever seen that video, if you never have, folks, go look up William Shatner doing Rocket Man on YouTube.
I wish we could play it on here. I would love to play it right now, but they would ding us 100%, folks.
And he didn't think it was anything other than dead serious until later when he kind of figured out, you know what? It is funny, and go with it. And the result, Denny Crane.
Well, that
Denny
is the
Crane.
antithesis of narcissism.
God bless him for that. I mean,
Right.
because there was a show that was a pretty wacky show anyway, but you needed somebody to take it to that further place so that James Spader and the rest could be more real and yet be involved in that universe.
But you know what? Being able to laugh at oneself is a sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice your own narcissism. But when you do so, look at the things that can happen out of it, as you just suggested. And it's sorely needed in today's world. I'll tell you one thing. I think he knows how to laugh at himself and have a good time. I also think he knows Gene Roddenberry, and I think he knows Star Trek is not in a good place. Hopefully that will turn around. But for today, we are wishing a very happy birthday to William Shatner.
And I'd like to go see this documentary that's out. It looks like it might be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And they asked him, here was the interesting quote I wanted to share before we go. They said, how come now? And he said, I've been asked over the years numerous times to do a documentary biography, and I've always turned it down because it seems so final. But now at this stage, maybe it's time. And I thought, you know what I'll do is these guys, Alexander Philippe, the wonderful director, now there might be time to put down on film what I feel. And it's a legacy. What I was doing was telling the honest truth, unadulterated by, I wonder what people will think. My family in the years to come will have some kind of legacy from me. So that forced me to be absolutely honest. If I'm telling you a story, it's not a story like, isn't this fun? It's a story insight that I knew you would garner from me.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Does that make you want to see this thing even more? It sure does with me.
I'm 100% now. I am going to watch it. And Mr. Shatner, if we are so fortunate to have you watching this video at any point, sending you our very best regards. Hope you had a wonderful day. And we hope in 20 years you're doing another one of these documentaries. It would put smiles on our faces and bring us great joy.
Go boldly.
That's right.
Or go home.
Don't go home yet, folks. Click the like button first. Like, share, subscribe. Click it, stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Tell us who that writer was that we could not think of the name. We would love that. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun. fun.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we're really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on that Park Place.
So not like most news outlets, huh?
No.